Hello, class. I'm going to say hello to you again, but I wanted to say hello before I said that hello because there's a section of the video that I missed that I wanted to give you a preview of what you would see. So you're going to do something on critical thinking, and I wanted us to look at Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is a super famous way of looking at a curriculum, but I think out of any topic can be kind of broken down in this way. So in Bloom's taxonomy, a teacher may follow this in order to know what is the objective that they are trying to teach. So I'm giving you kind of the background of what a teacher might do and how a teacher might have you break down a topic, okay? And I'm going to have you break down a topic that is going to be more at the analysis level in a minute. But I wanted to break this down because I think it's important in terms of understanding what you're doing with the information that you learn in college, okay? So this is Bloom's taxonomy. It is a triangle, it is a pyramid. And at the very base of that is remembering. The objective is to remember by recognizing facts, recalling names, and also labels. So this is very much, if you are a nursing student, this is medical terminology. This is knowing what the names are and what they mean, okay? But then you go to understanding. Understanding is what you might do in anatomy and physiology, that you understand what those terms, how they interact in the world, so that you know how the body interacts with itself. If diabetes, then what happens and what goes up, what goes down, all of those things, to have an understanding of that. Then there is the application. So if you're taking anatomy and physiology or any other kind of science, there is the lecture part and the reading of the book part, but then you do the lab, and the lab is the applied part, to know that you are looking at a crawfish and what are those different body parts. If you're in a chemistry class, you are mixing things. That is very applied because you are finding out what is going to interact well in your beaker and what all of that means. So that hands-on piece is the applied part. Then you go to analysis, which is breaking down information into the component parts. Now you could break a big thing up into smaller things, or you can bring smaller things into a bigger thing. Both of those things are very important, and deconstructing is another way to analyze. So you pick it apart, okay? So you look at it and you look at all aspects of it. And that is what many of you will do on papers that you write and projects you do. Next is evaluate, judging the value of information or ideas. There is a scene in the movie Awakenings where the scientist in it, Oliver Sacks, one of his colleagues says, Oliver, Dr. Sacks, you did an experiment on worms to prove that they don't do something. I forget what it is. And they were kind of laughing about it. And Oliver Sacks responded with, well, I had to prove that that could not happen. And that's what I did. So there are different aspects to an evaluation of saying that something will work and something can't work. And a big part of science is assuming that it's not going to work. But if it does, oh my God, that is the vaccine. That is a discovery. And those are the things that people build their entire careers on. People don't build their careers on remembering and understanding. They have to have those things. But evaluating and creating are the ones that you want to ultimately reach, both in college but also in life. Those are the things where your skills are going to be valued if you're able to do these things. So create is combining parts to make a new whole. So you take different aspects, like a teacher doing a curriculum is going to take different aspects of history and English and science to create a project-based a project-based assignment that is going to touch on multiple areas and bringing it into a whole so that the student has a more holistic, more understanding of the parts and how they relate to the whole, and how the parts also relate to each other. So creating is, if you can do these other things, then that creation is something that is going to help you flourish there. Now, do you need to remember and understand in order to create? I think it's something for you to consider. I also think it's important to understand what elements go into art before you start doing really experimental things with it. I think you have to kind of walk that walk and talk that talk in order to do something new. You have to understand what's already been done to know where you're going to carry it into the future. You also need to look at the past to know that you aren't copying someone else. There are a lot of ideas in science and in engineering that have already been done. But if you don't know that, then you think you are discovering something totally new, and you're not. So that's why it's good to have that background and to do that analysis. So this is just a very broad way to bring you to the next thing, which is critical thinking and how to walk through that. Hello, class. We are today going to talk about critical thinking, and critical thinking is a really big part of college because general education is that you can show critical thinking skills in the arts, in the humanities, in the sciences, in the social sciences, in every aspect of academics. Critical thinking should be, it's a biggest piece and the goal. So I wanted to give you just a little bit of an introduction to critical thinking, also to open up your minds to the things that critical thinking can be. And you know, when you look at academia in the long term, a lot of times it's using really big words and picking apart concepts that are in everyday life or things that are interesting to you. So personal interactions, like they study in psychology, those are big words put onto concepts that we are just trying to break apart. So if you know the language that is being used, and if you can analyze the concepts, marrying those two things in is a big part about writing papers, is your observations using the language of academia. And I know for me, as someone who has dyslexia, that language of academia has not come easily. It's almost like learning a foreign language. So you will eventually learn those words that you need in psychology or in nursing or in biology or in auto tech or in P-Tech. Every single discipline has its own language that is specific to that area. But the critical thinking piece is through every single discipline. I want my psychologists to have critical thinking skills just as much as my auto mechanic, just as much as my nurse, just as much as the person who works the chemical plants. I especially want them to have good critical thinking skills so it doesn't blow up. So those are the kinds of things that critical thinking can assist with. And we are just going to do a short introduction. And also I wanted to show you that in academia, you can analyze anything. Absolutely anything. You can write a paper on it. I swear. I have a friend who did his whole master's thesis on hip hop in the Bay Area. And that was a thing that he loved, and he was able to merge his ethnic studies degree into his love of hip hop. And so those are the kinds of things that if you really love something, you can integrate that into your education and make it part of your academic life, and maybe even a really big part of your after academic life. So I know for me, since I love stand-up comedy, like I have right here, this is Lenny Bruce, who is one of the fathers of stand-up comedy. Every single paper that I had to write in college was on stand-up comedy. And I was able to merge it in psychology, merge it in history, merge it in English, merging it in political science because of free speech. So many aspects there that I could write about, but it was a matter of knowing my subject, breaking it down, and thinking critically about it. So absolutely anything. So we are going to start small, but then you eventually will go big. So we are going to start small by doing an exercise. I want you to take out a piece of paper, okay, and a pen, and I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be prompting you to write some things down, okay? So there's going to be questions. We are going to analyze a single thing, and that analysis is going to be on, let me share my screen here. There's me. There it is. We are going to do an analysis of marshmallows, okay? Which is always a fun word for me to say as someone who stutters. So you're going to get a lot of good stuttering out of this, along with really overthinking about marshmallows. So if you have a marshmallow, if we were in class, I would have a marshmallow on every single table, but we can't. So if you have one in your kitchen, pause this, go and get one, because I want you to have it in front of you. If you don't, that's okay too, all right? So let's see, I'm gonna put my marshmallow here on my phone, okay? So this is gonna be my, it's my best way to show off my marshmallow, okay? So I'll be referencing that, but I also have a fistful here too. I kind of like to fidget. I don't know if you see that. So I'm gonna fidget with my marshmallows as we talk. Okay, anyway, here we go. Get your pen and paper. We are going to do an analysis. We are going to critically think about marshmallows. So first thing is, and I'm gonna have you pause it after each one, okay? First of all, you want to ask this question. What do I want to know about marshmallows? What questions do I have about marshmallows? And I'll go through this again afterwards to talk about some of the things that you might use, but I want you to go through this first and do it yourself. What questions do you have? Next. What observations do you have about this marshmallow? This one right here. You might think about what it feels like. You might think about what it looks like. What color? Not all marshmallows are white. What color is yours? Okay. Here, and I'll put it up close. You can see it. I think there are videos like this where like they smash things and they like that. Okay, I'm gonna throw this one away now. It's kind of gross, but Here are some other ones. Okay, what observations do you have? Write down everything you know about marshmallows. So you can consider facts, you can consider experiences, any association that you have, any kind of feelings that you have about them. Maybe one made you sick and that has always stayed with you. Also, if you have any hearsay from other people, it's good to know what other people say about it in order to assess if that is an idea that works well or something that you may not want to integrate in, or something that, or a position that you have to consider. It's important to consider all aspects so that you just don't jump to one conclusion. So consider those facts, experiences, associations, and hearsay from others. Next, what are your opinions of marshmallows? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you think they're wonderful and the best thing ever? Do you think they're okay? Like, what are your opinions about marshmallows? Next, and this one is always the most fun, and it really is an extra credit. I just like put that in, but it's something you really have to do, is I want you to research at least 3 things. Actually spend the next 10 minutes researching as many facts as you possibly can about marshmallows. And then what we are going to do is you are going to put some of those facts in the discussion, and it'll be interesting to see who came up with what. And also, if everybody, something to consider here, does everybody have the first 3 facts that they looked up on Google, or did you dive deeper? You want to dive deeper. Remember that slide? You want to do a deep dive on marshmallows. Get into a marshmallow black hole, which actually sounds kind of delicious, and see what you find there, all right? So that should be all of the questions that you have. I want you to think about a compare and contrast. And because you don't have another student in your room right now, I'm going to go through some of the things that I have seen in the past, and then maybe you can compare and contrast it with me, okay? And also, I have all these questions on the side. One of the things I'm going to have you eventually do is deep dive using these questions on a subject that you like, okay? But let me go back and share a few things. Okay, so the analysis of a marshmallow. What are some questions? So some questions that oftentimes come up is, how are they made? Do they have fat in them? How were they invented? What kind of recipes require marshmallows? So those are all things that I might ask. Next, observations about these marshmallows. Let's see. I'm gonna throw these other ones. I've been handling it. It seems gross. Okay, this one is white. Some are pink, some are white, some are different colors. This one seems extra soft. I bought these a couple weeks ago knowing that I would do this. It's still good, which is great. It hasn't stuck to the other one, so that is a good observation. That probably means there's lots of sugar coating. It's not too soft. It's soft enough. So I'd say it's probably a medium soft. Let's see. Let's taste it. I just licked the surface of it. You can kind of see that. And there's a lot of starch. It's not sugary. It's more starchy. It's good. And it's kind of melty inside. I'm on Weight Watchers, so I'm going to throw this out before I get too into it. But those are some of my observations about marshmallows. Oh, and also, I could look at the bag and look at the calories. 4 of these equals what, 100. They are a fat-free snack, I believe. Yes, they are fat-free and have almost no nutrition in them, unless it's sugar. So there you go. Moving on. Write down everything you already know about marshmallows. I actually know a lot because I've been doing this with the students for a while. But some things that if I looked at my knowledge before all of this, before everything that my students taught me, I would say some of the things that I know are, it seems that the colors of marshmallows vary amongst cultures. It seems like some cultures may use more colors in their marshmallows, and like the mainstream marshmallows that you might see by like, what's this, like Kraft, okay? Like the ones that are that are used for baking, those ones are the ones that seem to be a little bit boring to me. There are like the fancy ones and the gourmet ones. I have seen pictures of ones around the world, and not all of them look like the ones that I just used. I know there's also experiments that have been done, and those experiments are really interesting. Like they will put a marshmallow in front of a kid and tell the kid, you can have 5 of them or something like that. If you don't eat this one, if you just wait a couple of minutes and don't eat this one, you'll get even more. And some kids will go and they'll eat the marshmallow and not wait. And then they make some judgments or some predictions. They have found some correlations between kids who can wait and kids who can't. So it kind of shows you that sometimes people are looking at things in the short run instead of the long run, and what impact does that have on those individuals. Now, some emotional things, I remember when I was a kid, they used to make, like my mom would make Rice Krispie treats every once in a while. She hated making them. And like, I remember her stirring them because they're really hard to stir. There used to be an ad where the woman would make them and then she'd put like powder on her face, acting like they were really hard to make. But to me, they really seemed hard to make, but my mom didn't really like to cook, so that could have been part of it. Oh, my cousin Matt. Let me tell you about my cousin Matt. My cousin Matt was on a fishing boat, on his parents' fishing boat. They were like, I don't know, kind of having a party or something. And my cousin Matt got very hungry, and he ate pink marshmallows that he found on the fishing boat. Now, some of you know where I'm going with that. Some of you may not. That pink marshmallows are something that they give to that they use as bait. And when I was a kid, I remember like, oh, it's my grandfather had these pink marshmallows in his bait box, and they look so interesting. It's like I don't even know. I haven't seen them in a long time. But there's something you don't want to eat. Of course, my cousin ate a lot of them, I think. And, you know, I should add that he was like 25 at the time. So it wasn't like he was a little kid. So I always have that association with marshmallows as well. And so thinking about those experiences may lead you into questions about that. So now that I talk about my cousin Matt, I want to know what are those marshmallows? When did those happen? Is it to catch certain kinds of fish? How were they invented? What is the history? There is a history around everything, and around that history is also the culture that resulted in that thing happening. So I might want to know that about pink marshmallows. Also, hearsay from others. Oh, there is one thing that I've learned from my students in the past is Chubby Bunny. And Chubby Bunny is where you stuff your mouth, put a marshmallow like that, and we just put it in your mouth. And what happens, it's the inside of the marshmallow is a lot better than the outside. That had a lot of starch. Anyway, you shove as many in as you can, and then you say fluffy bunny or something like that. So some of my students have played that as kids. When we looked it up, we also found that there are deaths that are associated with fluffy bunny or puffy bunny or whatever it is. And so marshmallows can kill in the wrong hands. So that is why you want to look at those things and why they happen, where they come from, so that you understand. And like, you know, if you were in public health, you might have a fluffy bunny campaign to help people not do that. Of course, sometimes when you call attention to something, people will do it more, kind of like the Tide Pods thing. So, you know, wanting to look at a phenomena, and Fluffy Bunny might be that phenomenon, and analyzing what's going on culturally, what's going on sociologically, what's going on psychologically, what's going on in the body that would contribute to certain behaviors. Then, what is your opinion on marshmallows? I think they're okay. I went through a thing where I like to have the marshmallow sauce on top of my ice cream, especially when I go to Fenton's in Oakland. I haven't had that in a while. I think like I want all caramel now, but that was a thing that I had, and I enjoyed it at the time. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think it's fine. I think they're good. I think they have their place though. Okay. Anything in excess is bad. So now researching facts. Some of the facts that my students have found in the past, and please remember to write yours in the discussion area so that you can get full credit for this section. Some of the things people have found are they come from ancient Egypt, and they were considered the food of the gods. They also come from the mallow plant. And the mallow plant, let me see, hold on just a sec. I usually don't have my medicine cabinet here so close, but I have, it's similar to this, but it's not this. But I have a bottle that looks like this. It's probably next to my bed. That is marshmallow root along with some other stuff. And it helps with the sore throat. And it tastes good. Like it's this herbal resistance liquid. Not so good. But the marshmallow one, tastes really good. Anyway, so it is a plant grown in marshes. And that is where marshmallow comes from. Also, I don't know if like any of you, sometimes you will see them at church potlucks. It's a dish called ambrosia. Ambrosia is like jelly and different things mixed into a mini marshmallow salad. Ambrosia translated is food of the gods. So a very Egyptian name for something that I doubt is very Egyptian other than the marshmallows. Also, there is a marshmallow day. I forget what the day is, but you could look that up and you may have even found that. There is a day that celebrates marshmallows. And it's always good to ask who's behind those days. Who do you think is behind Marshmallow Day? It's the Confectioners of America or some name like that. So it's the candy makers of America have a Marshmallow Day. Why? To raise awareness of marshmallows so people buy their product and they make money. So it's always good to research who's behind a particular day and why they have that. So those are just a few facts. Again, I want you to share your facts here. And also, I'm going to have you do a deep dive like we just did here on marshmallows on anything that you love. So for me, I might choose the stand-up comedy. Others, it could be the 90 Day Fiancé show. It could be your favorite K-pop band. I don't care what it is. I just want it to be something that you enjoy, that you don't mind spending 10 minutes or so analyzing it, asking and responding to these questions, and doing about 5 to 10 minutes of research on it just to find those facts, and then handing all of that in so that I can see your work. I hope you enjoy this deep dive and the deep dive that you do on your own.